Okay, so dear students, so our today topic is pharmacology of adenocorticotropic hormone. It is also known as a ACTH. So and here I am putting the image that is the balance because so this image is matches the characteristics or physiological rule of the ACTH because so during the stress so organs are abnormal, so there is a chance of the failure of the organs during the stress or depressions or mental abnormalities, but that cannot be happens because so those organs functions can be normalized or prevent the malfunctions of the organ during the stress. So that is the role of the ACTS. So that's why I'm here putting this image regarding by explaining the pharmacology of adenocorticotropic hormone ACTH. Okay, so first we learn regarding the introductions. So dear students, so ACTH is a polypeptide hormones. It means it is also made up of the proteins, smaller protein. So they are joined together. Then so they are form the hormone. So that's why the ACTH is a polypeptide tropic hormone. So ACTH is mainly consist of the 39 amino acids. So it is a sequence of 39 amino acids. So its synonyms. So it is also known as a adenocorticotropin or corticotropin. So ACTH in the body, it's mainly play important role in the to avoid the damage of the organ during the stress. It is the main significance of the ACTH, and as well as the ACTH. So the plasma concentrations of ACTH was monitored to diagnose the certain diseases like Addison disease. So Addison disease is it occurs due to malfunctions of the adrenal gland. So that is known as the primary adrenal insufficiency. So during these conditions, the adrenal gland was failed to secrete the mineralocorticoids, glucocorticoids, or many other hormones. So those are secreted from the adrenal gland regarding the adrenaline and noradrenalines. So due deficiency of those hormones, so in the body the hydrogen ion concentration is increases because so one of the hormone from the adrenal glands, that is the aldosterone, or it is also known as the mineralocorticoids. So that hormones play important role in the excretions of the hydrogen ion, and failure of the primary adrenal insufficiency or adrenal gland, the concentrations of hydrogen ion in the blood is increases. It can causes one condition. So that condition was known as the acidosis. That is the pH become less than the neutral pH, that is less than the 7 toward the acidic. So that condition is known as the acidosis. And acidosis, it is one of the serious conditions of the body. Already you learned in the that is the respiratory system in HAP, that is human anatomy and physiology. That is respiratory acidosis. It is one of the serious conditions. It can causes the various metabolic reactions, including diabetes mellitus. Because so during the acidosis, okay, so RBC are rupture, that is by process of the hemolysis. So due to hemolysis, RBCs are rupture. So lack of RBC normal function, the deficiency of oxygen is occurs in the body, and deficiency of oxygen, all the organs so they can undergo the oxidative stress. So due to oxidative stress, if cannot be managed by our body or our immune system, so then the organs are suffering from the malfunction. Maybe it is responsible for to cause of the cancer or diabetes, hypertension, blood vessels collapse, kidney failure, or even the tumor in the brain can be occur due to acidosis. So due to only that is the malfunctions of the adrenal gland, so that condition is known as the Addison disease. So that Addison disease is also diagnosed so with the help of the ACTH, because in the adrenal insufficiency, whatever the ACTH was released, so that cannot be utilized because the adrenal gland was failed. So those all tissues are malfunction. They do not utilize the ACTH and do not involved in the synthesis of the mineralocorticoids and glucocorticoids. So due to unutilization of ACTH, the ACTH plasma level was increases. So if the person is suffering from the metabolic disorder, then the doctors they are monitored to find the risk factors regarding the plasma concentrations of ACTH. If it is level is increases, so that can denote so that person was suffering from the Addison disease. So due to Addison disease, so those are metabolic disorders. So they can be occur. So like that, the ACTH it is one of the diagnostic tool helpful for the diagnosis of the Addison disease. So ACTH level is also monitored for diagnosis of the another condition. So that condition is known as the Cushing disease. So it indicates so where the pituitary gland is suffering from the tumor or corticotropes. So they are suffering from the one condition that is the hypercortisolism. So due to hypercortisolism, the swelling of the corticotrope cells are increases in the entire pituitary glands or their number is increases due to the cancer. So due to that they can produce the more ACTH and due to that the plasma level of ACTH is increases. So it is also denoted or ACTH plasma concentration is also helpful for the diagnosis of the Cushing disease. It is nothing but tumor of the anterpituitary gland or pituitary glands are also known as the hypercortisolisms. Okay, so now we can learn regarding the how the ACTH can be synthesized. Okay, so during the stress, so those stress so they can generate the certain signals and those signals they can reaches to the your cerebral cortex with the help of the chemoreceptor or with the help of the proprioceptor or with the help of the sensory receptor. So many receptors are there, their work is only to detect the what are the changes that can occurs in the blood or that can occurs in the organ. So that message in the form of the impulses is reaches to the cerebral cortex with the help of the sensory neurons or with the help of the neurochemicals or neuropeptide. Then the cerebral cortex it can integrate message what happens in the body. So according to that it can generate one message. So stress is increases. So level of the hormones was decreases. So then it can create the message, so that message can reaches to the hypothalamus. So according to the cerebral stimuli or thalamic stimuli or limbic stimuli that can gather by the hypothalamus, it can involve in the release of the hypothalamic hormone. So that hormone is known as the corticotropin releasing hormone or corticotropin releasing factor. So this hormone reaches to the anterior pituitary glands. So where they can act on the corticotropes. So these are the special type of cells. So those are present in the anterior pituitary glands and these corticotropes by utilizations of the corticotropic releasing hormones, so they are involved in the release of the ACTH. So then the released ACTH it's mainly acts on the adrenal cortex where it can enhance the release of the mineralocorticoids as well as the increase the release of the glucocorticoids. So these are two hormones. So they can release from the adrenal cortex under the influence of the ACTH. So like that. So what are the functions of mineralocorticoids or glucocorticoids are there? So all functions are the account for the ACTH or ACTH. It can involve in the physiological functions of the body through a enhancing the release of the mineralocorticoids and release of the glucocorticoids. Okay, so like that. So the that is the ACTH. So they can releases from the enteropituitary gland under the influence of the hypothalamic hormones, then acts on the adrenal cortex and adrenal cortex. So they are present in the adrenal gland. So the top of layer of the adrenal gland. So that is the made up of the three layers. So that three layers commonly grouped together. So they are known as the adrenal cortex. So between the area, so that area was known as the adrenal medulla. So like that, the ACTH can be released from the corticotropes or from the interpituitary glands. So next one is the mechanism of actions of ACTH. So released ACTH, it can act on its own receptors. So those receptors are known as the ACTH receptors. So these ACTH receptors, so these are the G protein coupled receptor. It means so ACTH acts on these receptors so where one G protein can be activated. Okay, so due to that, so these receptors are known as the, that is, G protein coupled receptor. And G protein, some are inhibitory and some are the stimulatory. Okay, so due to ACTH acts on the ACTH receptor, so G protein can be activated, that can be stimulated. Then that protein, it can stimulate the one enzyme, so that is known as the adenyl cyclase, or it is also written as the AC. Okay, so due to binding of ACTH on ACTH receptor, the adenyl cyclase was increased, their activity was increased by a G protein. And adenyl cyclase is the enzyme. It is responsible for conversions of adenosine monophosphate, that is AMP, into a cyclic AMP. So like that, the cyclic AMP concentration is increases. So as the cyclic AMP concentration increases, the release of calcium is increases from the sarcoplasmic reticulum, or the entry of the calcium from extracellular fluid into the intracellular fluid is increases. So like that, inside the cell, the calcium level was increases. So this can causes the activations of the another enzyme. So that is known as the protein kinase A. So this enzyme is mainly acts on the liver, where they can enhance the gluconeogenesis, as well as it can enhance the glycolysis and inhibit the formations of the glycogen. And same protein kinase A, it can act on the adipose tissues. So they are mainly present in the skeletal muscle as well as inside the kidney. So where they can once again, where also it can enhance the gluconeogenesis, that is the formations of the glucose from the fats, and it can inhibit the formations of the glycogen by utilization of the excess of the glucose. But other side, in the peripheral system, they are enhanced the utilizations of the glucose by a cell. It means, so this ACTS do not have the anti-insulin like activity. It is having the opposite to the insulin activity, but do not have any anti-insulin like activity, because it enhances the utilizations of the glucose by the peripheral tissues or peripheral cells. And other side, in the liver or in the adipose tissues, it can enhance the release of the, that is the glucose by gluconeogenesis, and as well as it can potentiate the glycolysis, but it can inhibit the synthesis of the glycogen. And same protein kinase, its activity was also involved in the bone, so where it can enhance the bone resorption, that is the release of the calcium from the bone. So like that, the ACTH, it can regulate the various physiological functions of the body through a activations of the protein kinase A enzyme. So this enzyme was activated due to increase the concentrations of calcium inside the cell under the influence of the cyclic AMP. And the cyclic AMP was formed due to stimulations of the adenyl cyclase. So that's why the ACTH acts on ACTH receptor. It can enhance the activity of the protein kinase. So this is the mechanism of the ACTH. So like that, the ACTH, it's involved in the regulations of the various physiological actions. So next one is the pharmacodynamic action, nothing but pharmacology of the ACTH. So that is also known as the pharmacodynamic account or a pharmacodynamic profiles or pharmacodynamic actions. So the ACTH is mainly having the three pharmacological actions. It mainly acts on the adrenal cortex, so where it can enhance the or it can stimulate the release of the mineralocorticoids and release of the glucocorticoids. So as the name indicates, so the mineralocorticoids, so they are involved in the regulations of the minerals. So mineralocorticoids, it mainly enhance the absorptions of the minerals like sodium, calcium, phosphorus, but it can enhance the excretions of the hydrogen ion and excretions of the potassiums. Okay, so these mineralocorticoids, it is involved in the regulations of the electrolytes or regulations of the minerals in the body by enhancing the absorptions of sodium, absorptions of calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, then chloride. But it can enhance the excretion, not the absorption. It can decreases the plasma concentrations of hydrogen ion and potassium by causing the loss through the urine. But other side, it can enhance the sodium and calcium absorption, restore into the body, but it can causes the loss of hydrogen ion and loss of the potassium. So like that, the ACTH, it's play important role in the regulations of the mineral balance or homeostasis in the body through a release of the mineralocorticoids. So another hormone, that is the glucocorticoids. So as the name indicates, the glucocorticoids, they are mainly involved in the regulations of the glucose. So here the ACTH, it can enhance the plasma sugar level or plasma glucose level by or through a release of the glucocorticoids. So these glucocorticoids, it's mainly acts on the liver or adipose tissues where they enhance the release of the glucose by enhancing the gluconeogenesis or glycogenolysis, that is the breakdown of glycogen into glucose. So like that, the glucocorticoids, they are involved in the regulations of glucose in our body. So it is also one of the actions or physiological rule of the ACTH or ACTH. It is involved in the regulations of the glucose metabolism by through a release of the glucocorticoids by acting on the adrenal is mainly involved in the diagnosis of the disease like Addison's and Cushing's, because those disease condition the ACTH level was increases. So that's why it is the second actions of the ACTH. The next one is a, it is also having the anti-inflammatory actions. So dear students, already you know, so inflammation can be treated with the help of the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs like nimesulide, diclofenac, indomethacin, your mefenamic acids, the many other celecoxib, roxacoxib. So those are non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, so they can treat the inflammations. But if these drugs was fail, then the left drug is a glucocorticoid. So glucocorticoid is a strong anti-inflammatory agent. It is secreted in our body as well as externally they are available. Okay, so here the ACTH, it can show the potent anti-inflammatory action and it is helpful for the treatment of the thyroiditis, that is inflammation thyroid, that cannot be cured by any drugs. That is non-supportive thyroiditis can be controlled with the help of the ACTH. So where if the thyroid inflammation cannot be controlled by the antibiotic or a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, so on that time the doctor they can administer the ACTH. So that ACTH acts on the adrenal cortex. It can stimulate the glucocorticoids, and glucocorticoids, it can inhibit the all the autocoids. Okay, so autocoids are nothing but, so these are the local hormones. So those are involved in the to cause of the inflammations. Okay, so those all autocoids what are involved like prostaglandin, leukotrienes, thromboxane A2, then many platelet activating factors. So these all are the local hormones. So they are involved in the to cause of the inflammations or to cause of the wound. And here the glucocorticoid, it can inhibit the all type of the local hormones. So those are involved in the inflammation. So that's why it can show the potent anti-inflammatory activity. And here the ACTH, it can show the anti-inflammatory activity through a release of the glucocorticoid. So that's why it is helpful for or commonly used for the treatment of the thyroiditis, that is non-supportive thyroiditis, where the drug was failed, only the left drug is a glucocorticoid. And as well as it is helpful for the treatment of the multiple sclerosis. It is occurs in the brain layer or cerebral cortex. So that is due to one type of the inflammation due to any injury or entry of the microorganisms like bacteria, viruses, fungi. It can cause the inflammations in the cerebral layer or cerebral cortex. So that condition is known as the multiple sclerosis. So that is also treated or controlled with the help of the glucocorticoids or by administration of ACTS that can enhance the release of the glucocorticoids. So already you know, so the COVID is a one type of the inflammatory disease. It is also caused the inflammation of the respiratory tract. So that can controlled or treated with the help of the dexamethasones. So already you know, and already we are discussing the first class. So now the chloroquine along with dexamethasone is the choice of the drug for the treatment of the COVID, because COVID is also one type of inflammation, that is especially the release of histamine in the respiratory tract. Histamine is a autocoids as well as neurotransmitters are prostaglandin release in the lungs, and as well as release of the bradykinin. Okay, the in the COVID the respiratory tract was filled. Okay, so due to release of the okay release of that is bradykinin. So bradykinin is a another local hormones or autokines. It can causes the exudations of the fluid or release of the fluid or accumulation of fluid in the respiratory tract. So due to that, that fluid can be filled in the respiratory tract, it cannot be cleared due to release of bradykinin or due to release of that is the histamine, serotonin or prostaglandin. The main is a bradykinin, so that can cause the respiratory crisis in the COVID patient, and bradykinin is a autocoids. Okay, so here the drug they are used dexamethasone to control the COVID problem in the respiratory system or to control improve the functions of the respiratory systems or to clear the whatever the fluid that can deposited or accumulated in the COVID patient's respiratory system by administrations of the dexamethasone. And dexamethasone is the drug or derivatives of the glucocorticoids. Okay, so that's why the dexamethasone is a strong anti-inflammatory agent. It is also helpful for the treatment of the COVID or any type of the drug interactions. अगर आप गलती से कोई ड्रग लिया है, आपको अगर इंटरेक्शंस हुआ है, आपको कुछ तो बाइट किया है एंट, आपको इन्फ्लामेशन और इचिंग हो रहा, देन आल्सो you can take the dexamethasone or you can take the cetirizine. Cetirizine is also the brother and sisters of the dexamethasone, but the pure drug is the dexamethasone. It can control the all type of the inflammation or drug reactions due because it is a group of the glucocorticoids, and glucocorticoids is a strong anti-inflammatory agent. So that's why the dexamethasone is helpful for the treatment of the that is the respiratory tract infection or the treatment of the inflammations including the COVID or asthma or many others. Okay, but one few sentences should be remember, this dexamethasone can decrease the immune power. Okay, so those are immune power is less, for them you do not administer the dexamethasone. Only this point should be remember, otherwise it can treat the all type of the allergy, all type of the inflammations, all type of the any congestions or drug allergy drug interactions. So next is the pharmacokinetics. ACTH cannot be absorbed from the oral route, so that's why it can administered by the intramuscular within few minutes, that is within 30 minutes it can be absorbed or enter in the our circulations. So certain evidence, so there is no evidence can be available where the ACTH can be distributed, but it can be found in the all type of the tissue and is mainly metabolized in the liver and excreted through a kidney, its half-life is about only 15 minutes. Within 50 minutes, half the drug that can excreted through the kidney. So next is the ADR. So the ACTH mainly it can cause the seizures, dizziness, vertigo, as well as it can increases the intracranial pressure, then papilloma and pseudotumor cerebri. It means so those people they are suffering from the epilepsy or convulsions or seizures. For them, the ACTS you do not use, or the glucocorticoidal drug they do not use because already they having the ADR like a seizure, dizziness, vertigo, or as well as increase the intra that is a cranial pressure. So to increase the intracranial pressure, anytime the cerebral hemorrhage can be occurs. If that person having the problem in the cerebral cortex or in the brain, so for them if you are administered the ACTS means once again it can enhance the intracranial pressure. So due to that the blood vessels are damaged in the brain, so that can causes the inflammations or one type of the coagulations in the brain. So that's why you avoid the ACTH for them. So those problem or surgery in the brain or those are suffering from the epilepsy or seizures. Okay, so the ACTH it can also causes the hypertension, that is the heart failure shock as a area. Then regarding GIT, it can participate in the nausea, vomiting, peptic ulcer. It can increase the serum amylase level. Then metabolic, it can causes the diabetes mellitus, and as well as it can causes the retention of sodium and fluid and loss of the calcium and potassium. Then muscular, it can cause the myopathy, there is myopathy. Then osteoporosis, there is the loss of the bone function because it can enhance the that is the bone resorption, that is by enhancing the release of calcium from the bone. So due to that the bones are weakened, so that condition is known as the osteoporosis. Anyone problem? Okay, so another area in the respiratory it can cause the pneumonia, and even in the skin it can causes the fungal infection. So that's why so those girls or boys they having the fungal infections, for them they do not use the glucocorticoids or ACTH for the treatment of the allergy. Otherwise your fungal infections can be more, so that condition is known as the echochicomosis or allergic reactions or hyperpigmentations. So that's why you do not use during the fungal infection. So these are the drug interactions. So here the ACTH it can interact with the amphotericin B carbonic anhydrase inhibitors and diuretics, because what it can cause the loss of the electrolyte regarding the sodium, the not sodium, calcium and the potassium. So that's why for administered mean you can monitor the serum level of the potassium. Then it is also interact with the cardiac glycosides, so where it can increases the risk of arrhythmia or it can causes the digitalis toxicity. It means the ACTS should not use along with the digitalis or along with the cardiotonic for treatment of the congestive heart failure. Okay, so congestive heart failure is only treated with the help of the digitalis. No other drugs are available. For you admission for digitalis, you do not give the any ACTH or glucocorticoids derivatives. It is also interact with the cortisone, estrogen and hydrocortisone. It can elevate the cortisol level of the these drug abnormally. Then also it it cannot be used along with the hepatic enzyme inducing drug like a barbiturates, phenobarbital, then warfarin, heparins or many other drugs are there. They can induce the liver enzyme. So then by induction of the liver enzyme, so whatever drug you are administered, all drugs are rapidly metabolized. So that's why the ACTS should not be used along with these drugs like hepatic enzyme inducer. Otherwise it can increases the metabolism of the ACTS, then ACTS activity was fail. So that's why the ACTS always avoid along with the phenylbutazones, phenytoin, barbiturates, then warfarin, then as well as the heparin. So and even the carbamazepine. So these are the liver enzyme inducing drug. It is also interact with the indomethacin, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug, then paracetamol or salicylates, because it can increases the JT bleeding. These drugs also increase the JT bleeding, and ACTH also increase JT bleeding. So that's why they can avoid. And also it can contraindicate with the oral insulin and oral anti-diabetic drug, because the ACTH also increase the blood sugar level, and these drugs decrease the blood sugar. Then it can cause the failure of the therapy regarding the treatment of the diabetes mellitus. So that is uses. So the ACTS mainly used as a diagnostic aid, then replacement of hormone, then as well as the treatment of multiple sclerosis and non-supportive thyroiditis treatment. Okay, have any doubt? We are having small time. किसका डाउट है क्योंकि टाइम लेस है? Anyone? No? Okay, so ACTH it is used as a diagnostic agent. हाँ पूछना है तो पूछ सकते बेटा. it its plasma concentration is, normal plasma concentration is 10 to 50 picogram per ml. Okay, in the unit time it can decreases about 20 picogram per unit time में 20 picogram per ml रहता है. Okay, so in the night time it is decreases less than 10. Okay, for diagnosis of additions, so they administer the ACTH. Then they can monitor the ACTH level in the plasma. If it is more than 50, it indicates so that ACTH it do not act on the adrenal cortex, because the adrenal cortex was fail. So due to fail, it can cause the primary adrenal insufficiency. अगर ACTH level increase रहता है as compared to normal, so that indicates the adrenal gland was fail, or that person can be suffering from the Addison disease. So and the ACTH level in the blood is a 10 to 50 picogram per ml, but in some book they are mentioned 5 to 70 picogram per ml in a adult, but in the international value it is 10 to 50 picogram. इसके ज़्यादा हो गया, so that indicates either he is suffering from the Cushing disease, that is the tumor of the anterior pituitary gland, or failure of the adrenal cortex. So like that, the ACT is helpful for diagnosis of the various disease. Okay. So I will give attendance link in the WhatsApp group. If you have doubt, you can ask the question.